time for Kaufman's Corner on Mad Dog Unleashed.
Remember Ira?
You mean Ira?
Ira. James.
In other words, Ira.
In other words, Ira.
Each week, we go inside the head of Ira Kaufman, longtime NFL columnist and all-around good guy.
Do you ever just get down on your knees and thank God that you know me and have access to my dementia?
After a bumpy year for Ira, he's back and better than ever.
I'm back, baby! How's the voice of Rollins baseball over there, Russo? How you doing?
A long time ago.
He's funny. He's thought-provoking. He's a great spot.
Chris, look, I've been through this 7-8 years with Gruden. It's November. You're going to get a Gruden room. This one's more credible. He's not having as much fun in the booth as he did with Mike Tirico. Big shoes to fill in terms of Tirico. They're best buddies. A lot of chemistry. Tremendous rapport.
Now let's get to our weekly chat with Christopher Russo.
Give me the damn football. I will get us home.
And Ira Kaufman.
There you have it. That's from Baker Mayfield from a couple days ago. Eddie, I'm not stupid. I knew how to pick that up. Here's the great Ira. Happy New Year to Ira. Ira, how are you, buddy? Okay, pal?
Chrissy, we got panic in the streets. It's 49 degrees here. We don't know what's going on. We can't handle it.
I did hear it was 44 in Tampa this morning. And my poor kids, they're all by as lonesome there with that basketball team. You know, before we do that, I'll throw this out. Were you an I Love Lucy fan?
Yeah, to a point. I mean, much more Mary Tyler Moore. Much more Mary Tyler Moore.
And I've done a lot of...
And Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, you like Dick Van Dyke? I didn't know that.
Love that show.
Well, you know, that's a perfect age for you because you were, what, 10 and 11 years of age when that show began, correct?
I believe Rosemarie just passed away, Chris. Passed away.
We just talked about it. 93 years of age. So you loved it. So did you follow MTM, Mary Tyler Moore, to Mary Tyler Moore because of the Dick Van Dyke Show?
Absolutely. That was must-see TV, you know, with the spin-offs with Rhoda and everything. And she's fantastic. You know, a lot of great people died in 2017. You know, Chuck Berry's my main man in music. I thought he was maybe the single most important figure in rock history. I'm standing by that. But Mary Tyler Moore, that one got to me, Chris. Mary Tyler Moore got to me.
Interesting. I agree. Now, Dick Van Dyke, you know, she was a little bit like I Love Lucy, like Lucille Ball in the Dick Van Dyke Show. It's before my time. I've only seen snippets. Give me a little sense of where she was different in the Dick Van Dyke Show compared to the Mary Tyler Moore.
Well, in Dick Van Dyke, I think it was more physical comedy to an extent. You saw her dancing more. More entertaining. It showed off her versatility, which was fantastic. Mary Tyler Moore, I think the lasting impact of that was on women in the workplace. Role model. You hear all the women talk about it. Even Oprah Winfrey, Chris, is talking about Mary Tyler Moore as her guiding light in the 70s. Fantastic comedian. That scene alone, Chris, with Chuckles the Clown funeral, that will go down in TV history as one of the great 5 minutes in TV comedy history.
Excellent point. All right, now, I'll throw you a statistic on William Frawley. You know, he's a huge Yankee fan. And, you know, think about it for a minute. I Love Lucy started in 51. He had a clause in his contract that stated that he could miss shows if the Yankees were in the World Series, and he actually missed a couple in the early 50s. But think about this for a second. You know what year he was born? 1887. So he's born 22 years after Lincoln is killed. Okay? Think about it now for a minute. 22 years. When he's 15 or 18 or 20 years of age, the Yankees are not even the Yankees yet. They're not even the Highlanders. There's nothing there. It's the New York Giants. There's not Yankees. They're not even in New York. And so he becomes a Yankee fan. Who knows why? He's 32 when Ruth gets to the Yankees. 32. He's not 10. He's 30. He's older than he's 32 years of age when Ruth gets to the Yankees. So he sees Ruth, he sees Gehrig, he sees DiMaggio, and then he sees Mantle. He sees all the four Yankees the whole career, and he's born a year before a year. He's born the same year Cobb's born. It is hard to believe when you think about it. That is an incredible base. When you see all of Mantle, and you were a Yankee fan before the Yankees were even the Yankees, it is hard to fathom that, is it not?
You know, people are wondering why did you just get renewed by Sirius Radio? There's the answer. You think Dan Patrick is talking about William Frawley and putting him in historical perspective? No way, Russo. You are a student of history.
I love that stuff. You know that. I love that.
And I believe, Chris, until Frawley turned 25, we hadn't heard the first John Gruden rumor. I believe that's correct.
That is true. So, now, speaking of that, let's give you the credit. You're the one who told us back in November that the itch for him to coach was there. Are you surprised that it's going to turn out to be the Raiders instead of the Buccaneers?
Well, I think it was going to be the Buccaneers, quite frankly, Chris, until Mark Davis emerged, checkbook in hand. What do you need, John? How can we get you here? Whatever you want. And I don't blame the Glazers, Chris, for not matching that. Looks like they're going to give Gruden absolute power. I've seen how that happened here in Tampa. He was 45 and 51 his last 6 years at $1 place once Bruce Allen came in. It didn't work, Chris. It didn't work. And I don't think it'll work in Oakland. But I'm the guy that told you 7 weeks ago, and you almost dropped the phone when I said it, and I laid out 5 different reasons why Gruden was coming back to an NFL sidelines. And here we are, Chris. Next week, he's going to be introduced as the head coach of the Raiders.
So you think Cutter would be gone, and you think the Glazers would have hired Gruden again if Davis didn't come calling? So Davis must have heard the rumors if Davis didn't come calling. That's your take on it?
I think so, Chris. Just like free agency. Now, look at a guy like Calais Campbell, who I just voted for as Defensive Player of the Year. I just put in my All-Pro ballot through AP. And Calais Campbell hit free agency. The Bucs were interested. They knew he was a heck of a player. But he asked for a lot of money. Here comes Jacksonville saying, how much do you need? And they laid it out, and Campbell turned in a fantastic season. Chris, all it takes is one suitor with big pockets willing to do whatever it takes. And in this case, it's the Raiders. I think Mark Davis is trying to make up for what happened with his father. He's a Davis tried and true to his core. And you know how Gruden's treated back in Oakland. He's a god here in Tampa. He's even a bigger god in Oakland. He's uprooting his whole family, Chris, to go to Oakland. So it just shows you they absolutely opened the vault for him.
Now, listen, he's not Lombardi. I mean, I understand he won a Super Bowl, and he's fun, and I love him on TV. But my goodness, you would think that, he is a Hall of Famer. Now, with the way you guys put these coaches in the Hall of Fame, maybe one day he's going to make it. But, I mean, you just came with the statistics. 45 and 51. He's 40 and 28 lifetime with Oakland. It's not like he's won 5 Super Bowls. This is not Lombardi going to the Redskins. Why does he get so much love based on his career record?
Because of the it factor, Chris, which you know well in the entertainment business, and that's what the NFL is. It's a business. The charisma factor. He generates a tremendous amount of enthusiasm. How he ever became the quarterback guru, Chris, is one of the great feats in history when he never developed a young quarterback, either in Oakland, where he had Gannon, or in Tampa, where he had no use for Chris Sims. No use for him. Didn't want him drafted, but McKay brought him in, and he had to use him, and then ended up with Jeff Garcia. So, Chris, it's all about the aura, the phenomenon of Gruden. Women love him. He's very charismatic, as you know, and he gets players to believe in him up to a point, Chris, up to a point.
All right, did he wear out his welcome? Did he deserve to be fired in Tampa? Why did it end so badly?
Yes and no. I mean, he had 2 9-7 seasons. Now, look, Chris, they were 9-3 in 2008. They had a pretty good team. And then Monty Kiffin announced that he was going to Southern Cal to work with his kid, and everything fell apart. They lost their last 4 games in bad fashion, and the last one was to the Raiders, of all people. And that was it. 4-game losing streak. The Glazers had enough. He asked for the moon. He wanted full control. He wanted the Glazers to spend money, more money on free agency. He put a lot of demands on them in that season-ending meeting, and the Glazer boys looked at each other and said, we're moving on from Gruden.
Wow. Now, I texted you the other day. You've been down on Cutter. Team played hard late. I read the quotes. McCoy, Winston. It sounds like everybody is delighted that he's back, and you're one who has not been a huge Cutter fan, thin-skinned, what have you. Yet if I read the quotes from the Buck players, this is a home run with his return. What's your take on that?
Now, Chris, if I know one thing about you, it's that you're not naive. So when the same sheriff comes back to town, Chris, the townspeople start talking him up. I mean, what's Gerald McCoy supposed to say? You might have heard something different if Cutter was on his way out the door. So last Friday, at 4 o'clock, we found out Cutter's coming back. Chris, this team had more talent, Cutter said himself, than any of the 3 years that he's been in Tampa, and they finished 5-11. It tells you that it wasn't a well-coached team. There are some personnel problems, pass rush, whatever, that aren't necessarily his fault. But, Chris, they went from 9-7 to 5-11. He's still got a job. He's got one more year to prove himself. That seat's going to be very, very hot in 2018.
Yeah, but you know what? They played pretty darn well at the end of the year. They played well against Atlanta. They had Carroll on a beat. If they had a field goal kicker, their record would have been a lot better. It wasn't his fault that the kid from the Florida State stunk.
Right.
They could have beaten Green Bay, lost in overtime, lost a close game to Detroit. I mean, you know how close these games are. Winston gets hurt early in the year. They could have beat the Bills up in Buffalo. They did lose a lot of close games, and with a little more fortune and a little better special teams, they would not have been 5-11. You do agree with that, correct?
You sound like Cutter's agent right now, Russo. Look, you made a lot of good points, but as you well know, most NFL games are close, and you got to win. Crunch time in the fourth quarter. They didn't do it, and some part of that is coaching. Some part of it. Time management, clock management, decisions, play calling. He's already said he's not giving up the play calling, and I think that's smart. Winston finished strong, Chris. I thought that was a feather in Cutter's cap, how Winston finished. But let me remind you, Chris, there is an investigation ongoing, into Winston with this Uber driver. We don't know what the heck's going to happen. We don't know how long it's going to take. But if the conclusion is goes the wrong way for the Bucks, the guy's going to miss 6 games next year. 6.
That's a problem. We'll get to that a little later on. All right, let me hear your ballot. Who is your MVP? Did you vote for Brady?
I did not vote for Brady, Christopher. I did not.
Who'd you vote for?
I voted for Todd Gurley.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that.
I voted for Todd Gurley.
I wouldn't have done that.
You don't like it because you're voting for a quarterback.
No, I'm not. No, the problem with it is, how do you separate Gurley from McVay and Goff? I mean, it's almost like they should split it a third. I mean, Brady. I don't know who you split Brady. Brady is Brady. I mean, he's the reason why the team is so good. I understand Gurley had a great year, but Goff was great, and so was the head coach. So why do I give it to the running back? I wouldn't. Plus the fact it's not like they're the 1 seed; they're the 4 seed. So. Or the 3 seed. I would not have done that. I'm surprised.
Let me explain. They had the highest scoring team in the league. Highest scoring. Last year, I believe, they had the lowest scoring team, I think. That is an amazing turnaround. Gurley did not have a good 2016 season. Got hurt. Chris, you'll admit, with all due respect to Jared Goff, Gurley was the focal point of that offense. He was the focal point. 19 touchdowns, led the league in yards from scrimmage, even though he didn't play in Week 17. Had a fantastic year. Brady, I voted at quarterback for Brady, but I think you could have made a case for a couple other guys. I don't think Brady was head and shoulders about any other quarterback. So I went with Gurley. I'm not going to argue with you on Brady. I'm not. But I don't think you should argue with me on Gurley.
All right. Who do you think is going to win?
Who's going to win? I think Brady will win because quarterbacks usually win. I think Brady will win.
Will Wentz get some votes or not?
I thought he was clearly the front runner till he got hurt. I would have voted for him if he finished up in any decent shape. Wentz will get a few scattered votes. He was having a fantastic year. By the time he went down, I thought he was going to get the MVP award. Yes,
and McVay, your coach of the year, correct?
I did not vote for McVay. Here we go again, Russo. Here we go again.
Who'd you vote for? Mike Zimmer? Who'd you vote for?
I voted for Mike Zimmer.
Oh, come on, Ira.
For...
Come on, Ira. That's
Come on. Chris.
Mike Zimmer over McVay. You just went and told me of how bad they were last year offensively. They bring a kid in there who turned around Goff's career, and they win the division going away, and you vote for Mike Zimmer? Now, explain that one. Let me hear.
Now, Chris, I'm not arguing with you, Sean McVay. And if you ask me who's going to win, I think it's going to be Sean McVay. But don't belittle little Mike Zimmer, Chris. He's on his third quarterback, and his running back went down, after 5 weeks. And they show no sign of weakness. They beat good teams. They pummel them. They're 13-3. I think they got a good chance to get to Minneapolis, their home city. And Zimmer's done a fantastic job, Chris. Do you let me hear one criticism about Mike Zimmer.
Well,
Chris,
first off, you're making it sound like he lost two great quarterbacks. Bridgewater has not proven that he's a great quarterback, and Bradford's never healthy. So the idea that he came up with some guy like Kurt Warner and Dick Vermeil is a bunch of nonsense. You could make an argument that Keenan's better than the three of them anyway, the best of the three of them anyway, for crying out loud. So
Chris, a year ago, be honest, at this time, you thought Case Keenum was a joke. A joke.
Well, a joke's a little strong. I thought he was a backup. A joke's a little strong. A backup. I would not.
All right, so they're taking a backup, and they're on their way to a home game in the Super Bowl.
Oh, so they're in.
I think Zimmer's done a fantastic job.
Geez, Ira. Who's your defensive player of the year?
Calais Campbell.
I can't argue with that.
He's made everybody around him better in Jacksonville, and they got a heck of a defense.
That I won't argue with. All right, let's do the Hall of Fame now. I didn't follow it that carefully. Give me some thoughts on the finalists. How's the process go? Go ahead. Take it away.
All right, they named the 15 guys last night. There's 5 offensive linemen. 5. They could all cancel each other out. You got guys like Mawai, Faneca, Jacoby, Hutchinson. I mean, these are top-notch guys. There's no question about it. 4 defensive backs, Chris. Ty Law, Everson Walls, in his last year of eligibility, finally gets in the room. After all this time,
wow.
Walls makes the list.
Okay.
And then you got 2 safeties in Dawkins and Lynch, and I don't want you berating me again on the John Lynch. I'm going to go in there, guns blazing. I'm 0 for 4. I don't want to be Mario Mendoza here. I'm going to bring this thing home somehow, some way with John Lynch, and I don't want you telling me any different.
All right, that's who else? Let me hear. That's.
All right, there are no pass rushers, 0. No pass rushers, no quarterbacks, 0. Edgerrin James is back. He was a heck of a player. I think ultimately, one of these years, Edgerrin James is going to get in.
I don't think he's an all-time great. I think he's a borderline Hall of Famer. All right, who else?
All right, and then you've got 3 wide receivers. You've got Owens, you got Moss, you got Isaac Bruce. I don't think there's any way Isaac Bruce is getting in.
Well, the other two should make it. The fact that you guys the fact that you people, and not including you, Ira, the fact that you two somehow, and you voters, the 46 of you, somehow don't want to give more. Now, listen, I don't like him either, but the fact that Terrell Owens, who played in the Super Bowl with a broken foot, was the best player on the field, the idea that somehow you don't make him a Hall of Famer because you think his attitude is crazy is absolutely absurd. How the hell is he not? We discussed this last year. How is you somehow put Jerry Jones in, and you put Levy in and all these other guys, and you don't put this guy in? I don't like him either, Ira, but he's a Hall of Famer, for crying out loud. No?
All right. Now we have a new wrinkle, Chris. It's a new year. We got a new wrinkle. I've changed my mind. Since the last meeting, which was last February, I have talked to several people who I have a lot of respect for, and don't be taking any credit for this, Russo. Believe me, you played no role in this reversal. 0. But I've talked to some people with credibility, football people, and they all say, Ira, the guy wasn't a very good teammate, but he was too good a player. So I have changed my mind.
Oh, really?
And I can hear the applause in the background.
Oh, there
Chris.
you go.
I can hear the applause.
All right, there you go. All right, now, I know you're going to vote for Lynch. Dawkins is not a Hall of Famer. I know he's rugged and the Eagles love him. He's not a Hall of Famer. Nice player, good player, but he's not not my eyes. He's not a Hall of Famer. I'd have to be taught about the offensive linemen. Who are the favorites? I know you put a million of these guys in with the votes. Who are the favorites? Who are the shoo-ins as far as 2018 is concerned?
You can only put 5 out of 15, maximum 5. Now Ray Lewis is there, and he's a lock. The guy that's presenting him should say Ray Lewis, and then he should sit down and save us 20 minutes, and we would appreciate it. I don't know what you think about Ray Lewis.
Listen,
problems.
I don't like Ray Lewis, but he's a Hall of Famer. No argument. Go ahead.
He's a Hall of Famer. You got the 2 receivers. Is one going to get in? Is 2 going to get in?
To me, Moss and Owens both get in. That's 3. Who else?
Okay. Now, here's a guy I didn't mention to you. Very intriguing, and the Terrell Davis decision last year opens the door for him. Tony Boselli.
Tough call.
Had like 5 or 6 great years in Jacksonville, then got hurt, and had a very short NFL career.
Chris. How many All-Pros did he have?
I think he had 5. He had 5.
Yeah, it's a very hard call. Let's say I go with that. That's 4. I only get one more. Who's the other one? Go ahead.
Well, it's got to be number 47, Mr. Russo. Yeah, we're not even going to discuss this. Now,
Everson Walls is not a Hall of Famer. Dawkins is not a Hall of Famer. How about the other offensive linemen?
I don't think more than one's going to get in. It could be Boselli. Faneca was a heck of a player, Chris. You saw him with the Jets. Very good.
Faneca's a guard, and he was not good with the Jets.
Who's that, Faneca?
Yeah, he was great with Pittsburgh, but he did not.
Yeah, he was at the end of his career, Chris.
He did not pan out well with the Jets, for whatever that's worth. Go ahead.
Now look, you didn't see Lynch play like I did. Let me just make a 30 second.
Faneca's a 6-time All-Pro. How many times has Boselli had? He have 6? Wow.
I thought it was 5. I think it's 5, maybe.
3. You can't. Hold on now. You cannot put Boselli in when he's All-Pro 3 times and Faneca 6 times. That's not fair. That you can't do. That's not fair.
Well, he played left tackle, Chris, and I believe fairly considered to be the best left tackle in the game when he was at his peak. The best. And that's saying something.
6-time All-Pro is a lot, boy. That's a lot. 6 times in his career, he was one of the 2 best guards in football. That's a lot. You're not putting that guy in the Hall of Fame?
Chris, I can only put 5 in. And now, by the way, I'm very upset because Ronde Barber, did not make the list in his first year of eligibility.
Yeah, he's a great player.
That was a mistake.
He's a great player. I don't disagree with you. He's a great player. Super Bowl, a whole bit. Great player. So it's an interesting.
Now you saw Everson Walls because he played with the Giants.
I was
play with the Giants.
And a great guy, and he made the tackle of his life when he stopped Thurman Thomas on the last drive for Buffalo in that game in Super Bowl 25. And I love Walls.
Boy, you don't forget a thing, Christopher.
That's right up my alley in 1990. And throwing the idea that obviously he was a rookie at the time, rookie, when Clark made the catch over his head in 1981. So he's, in a lot of ways, part of 2 iconic plays in the history of the NFL. He never had good hands. Never. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. Be honest. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
Now, Chris, one thing I didn't even remember, and I covered the game. I covered the Dwight Clark catch game for UPI. I was in San Francisco. And I didn't remember that Walls picked off Joe Montana twice in that game.
No, I did not either.
Twice.
That's true. Wow. I did not know that. I did not know that myself. Good job on you.
I can't blame him, Chris. I can't blame him for the Dwight Clark catch. I mean, Montana had 5-6 seconds to throw that ball. He rolled out, and he bought himself a lot of time.
Yes, he did. All right, so the Hall of Fame is interesting. Did you watch the Ice Bowl on NFL Network on Friday night? We talked about it last week. Did you watch it?
I missed it on Friday night. How was it?
Too many commercials. Way too many commercials. These networks of franchise of sports, and I'll throw in the MLB network there too, because their Billy Martin thing was destroyed by commercials. They don't know how to do the commercials right. ESPN, when they do a 30 for 30, that show flows. They do a couple of breaks, and that's the end of it. These commercials killed the NFL thing, but there's no way you won't like it. I mean, it's a lot on Don Meredith. It's more of a cowboy feel, and I'm surprised you didn't see it. That's a bad job on your part. But it's because you're the one who was raving about it. You're the one who was raving, for crying out loud. I'm taping it. I'm watching it. That's my game. I love that game.
My wife wanted to go to the movies, Russo. What do you want me to do?
What movie did you see?
We saw all the money in the world, my friend.
So did I.
All the money in the world.
So did I, and it was a good. I liked it a lot. What'd you think of it?
Well, first, by the title, I thought it was about you. And then I realized it was about Getty. Great acting. Michelle Williams is fantastic, and so's Plummer. Fantastic.
Great. He did that movie in 11 days. Did you know that? Because Spacey was going to do it. He did that part in 11 days. Were you aware of that?
No way Spacey could have done a better job, Chris.
No way.
Not a chance.
Yeah, very good film. Very good. I'd recommend it. Okay, let's get your Super Bowl predictions here. New England or Pittsburgh? Take a stab at the NFC. You can take Vikings and Patriots, or are you going to take for Super Bowl 52?
I like the Steelers this year, Christopher. I like the Steelers. I hope it doesn't go down in the last 3 minutes because I know you like Belichick over Tomlin in that situation. I think Pittsburgh's got a heck of a team, Chris, especially if Brown comes back healthy. I know the game's in Foxborough. Pittsburgh's strong, Chris, strong. Their defense much improved with Hayden coming back. I know they lost Shazier. I just got a feeling about the Steelers. I got a feeling. As far as the NFC is concerned, boy, Chris, this is one of the great fields, I think, ever in one particular conference. New Orleans has a heck of a team, Chris. They're very good. Didn't play well in Tampa, but very good. Minnesota, tremendous. I'm very disappointed in the way Foles has played the last 2 weeks, Chris. Very disappointed. He's been below average. All he's got to do is be average because they got a good team, Philly. So I'm going to go with Minnesota, Chris. I picked Zimmer. I'm sticking with Zimmer. I think Minnesota is very much under the radar. They're good. Defense, tremendous. Playmakers all over the field. And I don't see any sign that Keenum can't get the job done. I'll take the Vikings.
Vikings and Steelers. Who do you like in the Alabama-Georgia game?
Bama. Too good. Too strong. Saban, too good. Georgia's defense exposed a little bit. Going with Bama.
How bad was the Oklahoma? I don't know if you watched a lot of it. How bad was the Oklahoma theme there late? Conservative with their offense. They got very tight. How about the Rose Bowl on Monday afternoon?
Well, they gave it their best shot, until the end. And very entertaining game. But you walk away thinking, hey, maybe Oklahoma had the better team, Chris. I'll tell you who it killed is Gerald McCoy in the Buck locker room. He's absolutely distraught, Chris. Forget the 5-11 season. He was rooting for Sooner Nation, and it didn't happen. I think Oklahoma probably had the better team, Chris, by the time that game ended.
I'm not so sure, Ira. I think Georgia better balanced with defense and offense. How about Mayfield? Would you take a run at him in the first round or not?
A month ago I would have said no. I don't like some of his intangibles, some of it. But, boy, Chris, the guy puts up a lot of points. He's very productive. This is not a great year for quarterbacks. Darnold's not knocking anybody out. Josh Rosen, he's got some issues. He's coming out, as he should, and I think he's going in the top 20. Yes, I do.
You do. Ira, good job, good week. Thanks very much. I'll talk to you next week. Appreciate it today, pal.
Okay, baby. Take care.
Mr. Kaufman, some thoughts. He likes the Minnesota-Pittsburgh Super Bowl. We'll get Steve's thoughts on that later in the week. We do an update now with Mr. Torrey here on Mad Dog.